Matt Layman and Ashley Boeckholt. We're live here with Lunch with Lumbermen. Welcome back, Matt. You and Mike did a great one last week. I was trying to sign in and watch you guys from Ben, but it kept knocking me in and out of
Yeah, I think we're
other
still
things.
having some little issues. I got frozen every once in a while.
Yeah,
We got the gist of it.
we should be good now. I'm just pulling up there's our live stream now. We're good. So I guess printed out your report. It's been a crazy market. What did you and Mike talk about last week? And I'll start riffing off of there a little bit.
Honestly, I don't remember.
Okay. Um, we have a live bid and offer going back and forth right now in a carload of 2x4 number 3 that I'm watching kind of back and forth there, and a bunch of studs. So we've got a bunch of live stuff trading. Yesterday on that call I saw you were on, we were kind of going back and forth talking about what the live market was doing.
Yeah, that was pretty cool to be able to see some things happen in real time and actually, I mean, I know it was kind of distracting for you, but to see you kind of be an intermediary of transactions to get things happening. So that was pretty cool.
It's a great thing. We got a bunch of good stuff up on out here today, and what I wanted to do is start kind of putting up what we got going on. First of all, I'm going to put up here. Where is everybody from?
I can't see that. Where is that?
Can you see over at the over in the comments at all? Can you watch the comments at all?
Usually I do, but I don't see it today.
Huh. Okay. We'll have to figure that out. I'll just kind of tell you when I see something here. Nick just asked if you're a North Carolina State fan, and then that kind of obvious.
No, I just found this in the closet. They're playing UCLA in some kind of bowl here this weekend, so I thought I'd get my get ready to get beat gear on.
Someone just raised their bid.
Can everyone see that? With the bids in NASCAR?
No, I haven't figured out how to show that yet. So I'm just going to kind of have our team comment in the comments here.
What's the volume been like on the platform for the last couple of weeks?
So our fourth quarter is going to be probably our best quarter. It started to move up. We had good volume in November. We thought it would be less, but like this week normally, Matt, is a slow week, and it's been a great week for us so far. We've knocked down like 3 cars today and trucks, so it's pretty. It's what I thought would be a slow day has been pretty good.
Good. I think the more people get used to doing it, it's kind of like the more you play with your yo-yo, the better you get at it.
Yeah, you can walk the dog and do all kinds of around the world and everything.
Yeah, you just got to show it off
with your Duncan yo-yo.
I like mine had a light on it.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I saw those, and they had the ones that had the big fat outside and the narrow inside.
Yeah. I love you.
Yeah. Mike just put up there. Check out the 4x9 7/16 in Madison, Illinois. Yeah, we traded some of that today all the way back to Indiana, and there's a lot of bids and offers on that stuff. We've got 2x4, 104 and 5/8 offered everywhere in the Midwest. We got some premium Stimson, Stim Pro, Doug Fur in Chicago. We sold a bunch of those trucks. Those went out to Nebraska and into Iowa. So out of Chicago yesterday. So come in and bid on those, and I think you'll be happily surprised.
Hey, I just heard something that might be beneficial for you and your traders is after the OSB contracts kind of got all filtered out. Yeah. The buying groups might have got a little short into the shaft.
How's that?
They didn't get as much allocation as they thought they did last year. So a lot of their dealers got shorted on there. Like this one guy was telling me he's got 3 less per week than he asked for. So he's got 150 truckloads he's going to be buying this year on the open market somewhere. But it's not just him; it was the other dealers in the buying group as well. But everybody came up a little short. So it looks like it's going to be I don't know if it's going to be another one of those Home Depots and secondary supplier of the year, but it appears as though if you've got some extra commodity board, just 7/16 OSB and 23/32 underlayment, that a good place to look for might be on the exchange and a good place to offer because there's certainly going to be a lot of people looking for it.
You know what I heard? I mean, I heard one of the big chain boxes is opening up these, and a guy, I was out in Oregon and they were visiting, and I heard a lot of these guys are opening up these big distribution centers now. So maybe these big boxes are going to suck a lot of that volume into their to sell to contractors direct. You know what I'm saying?
I had a guy tell me is the lumber mill out west said that they're one of the big boxes, biggest suppliers. He has like 1,200 stores he supplies, and they've been trying to build inventory for 3 months and can't do it. And he said they've been so busy that they can't build inventory for spring, and everybody's thinking that the market's speculative to be bought, but I think the big boxes are just still going to be the punch for the year where a lot of lumber panels are going to go, because business has been so good this fall and this winter that they just can't build that inventory. So they're coming into the spring here with lighter inventories than they'd like to have.
Right. I'm just putting something out here. There we go. Well,
the point is, if you guys that have extra 7/16 OSB that you're interested in getting rid of, you're probably not going to have any problem. The exchange would be a great place to just float it out there, see what you can get.
Yeah, no, good point, Matt. Well, let's go. Which one do you want to take a look at today? December 20th, or you want to go into December 23rd? I like going through the 20th one first, because then we can look at some things. Let's go to the 12-month forecast first on that one and see where we're at. Nick, if you go to the 20th and look at the 12-month forecast, what are we looking at here, Matt? Look at that thing is starting to turn up. I just put a comment out here. Yesterday we had, it seemed to be a lot of people that I was talking to, reading on social media, which is where everybody gets their information now for real-time information. A lot of people were buying what they needed for the first quarter, covering as much as they could. You and I have had these conversations of people going out in the multifamily thing. We had a multifamily guy on here yesterday that contacted us later because he never really has thought about buying lumber. And he sent me over some of the prices that he was getting quoted at from these jobbers. And I just shook my head. It's like unbelievable. So people are starting to see stuff buy. And I think one of the things I heard a few times, people like the car I just sold of number 3, the guy said he was topping off his inventory, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what are we seeing looking at this chart today?
Well, here's the thing that I think is most significant is that if you look back at week number 39, that was clearly a miss. That was the October we were looking for a pullback, and we didn't get it. The market went higher, and people were looking for. If you remember back in October, everybody said, "I'm looking for a pullback to buy." And my comment was at the end of October was, "You didn't get it," but that doesn't negate the fact that 90% of the time, from the beginning of November to the end of February, the market goes up 90% of the time, and we're doing it. We're just right on. We're doing it for all the same reasons. People trying to build inventory, production is a little off, and demand is good because of the weather. Whatever the reasons are, it's happening. The next thing that's going to happen, if you look at week number 2 there, you see that we get a little dip in the first couple of weeks of January, and I call that the January chaos. This is when everybody says, "Well, I've spent December getting my inventory up, and I'm getting ready, and I'm ready to start the year." But so now I'm starting the new year, and the mills are saying they got order files. There's nothing being offered. There's nothing to buy, so the market just gets a little sloppy, but it ends up usually finishing a little stronger than it starts. But I wouldn't be surprised. I saw some comments yesterday on social media as well. Some of the peg boards, or whatever you want to call those things, the gossip boards. Everybody's talking about a pullback in the market, but simply because prices are so high and how much lumber's been bought. But I'm of the opinion there's not a lot of speculative lumber bought. This lumber's been bought because builders want to commit for it. It's pre-bought, not speculatively bought. So I think we've got more strength coming. If you look at I did a thing on my futures chart today. Just said, look, if we assume that we're at a place where the market is making a pullback in like a 4-wave of an Elliott five-wave pattern, that we've hit the 23% pullback, and we're looking at a 38%, possibly 50%. This market could come off a couple $100 and still be just in a corrective mode of a 5-wave up, and just it really does not mean anything at all. So if you happen to see futures or cash get corrected in the first couple of weeks of January for a couple $100, don't be fooled into thinking that that's the end of the market. It's going to go down. It's just a technical correction in a January chaotic kind of sloppy spot. But there's more strength coming. The builders are not finished. they want to buy more. The only reason they're not buying more is the dealers just won't offer it to them. They're out 90 days. They don't have the space or the money to put any more in. The builders are ready to go. They've got commitments through the first quarter, and I think their first quarter's in the bag. They're just trying to get it all covered.
So what worries me about hearing that, Matt, is, and not taking the other side because I don't have a position, this is the same thing we talked about last year before we rolled over. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so
yeah,
I'm not saying we're going to. What I'm saying is I hear the futures traders out there are, that love being long all the time are still long. And the market, even though I bet you 99% of the market is still bullish, which always concerns me, right? So I don't know what's going to happen, but I know that this thing, when I see numbers like this and people just frantically buying, I think we have some time left, but at some point people decide that they're done, right? And I don't know when that is.
Don't you think though that futures has gotten rid of its premium and now it's on cash? So futures is saying like, okay, that I told you this was going to happen. It's happened. Now we're here. Now what? Now futures is just going to follow cash.
Well, yeah, what happened with futures is basis works, right? So I think what was interesting a week ago when I saw futures trading almost $200 premium to what one of the big mills sold wholesalers at on 4-inch when they went out and sold a chunk at $900. What it showed me is that mill that sold doesn't use the futures board, which is why volume is low. And two, they needed to move inventory and found the market. So when I go out and talk to some mills right now, they love these prices, and they're starting to be. They had some hiccups in shipping, but that's starting to get a little bit better. I think fourth quarter is historically the lowest production quarter. So you marry that up with the pull we've got right now. Hey, we could stay good for 3-4 months longer, but I'm seeing those signs that always concern me when everybody gets tipped to one side of the boat again. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I think if it was speculative, that would be one thing, but I don't think it's speculative. I think it's dealer commitments. Builder commitments, and these guys are the wood people, the BFS and 84, and the big contractor yard guys. They're not sitting on a bunch of speculative inventory like people think they are. I think they've got it sold because they don't need to not have it sold. They got it sold with markup adders on them or however they got it done. But the wood's committed. As long as the builders keep going, then they're gonna get that wood sold. And another thing that's happening in the fourth quarter right here too is builders are at a spot where they're focused primarily right now as much as they can be on completions. And one of the stats I've had last week was that since we started watching completions back 53 years ago, 2021 is the year of the lowest number of completions to starts ratio ever. It's 81%. It's usually the average is 97%. So there's some margin of error in the data, but still we're 15-20% behind what we normally have for completions. So that means builders have houses in the field that are built. They're waiting on tubs or windows or appliances, but they're at the point where they spent their $200,000 on a $250,000 home to get it built. And the only thing they're doing to wait now is just to close so they can collect the profit.
Yep. No doubt.
That's where we are.
No doubt about that. Well, I've gotten some calls, like I said, from these big multifamily people that historically had never worried about pricing and want help now, going out and pricing it. And so, I'm working on helping them figure out how to do that, right? Because it's amazing when you talk to people and you think that they're such a big company, have such a big spend that they'd have insight into a market. A lot of these companies, Matt, as you know, don't have any idea how our lumber market works, and they're price takers, right? It's amazing when you empower them with a little information and give them pricing information. They can go back to their vendors and push back on a little bit. You create a long-term customer on that, right?
Yeah. What they also don't know is what they, for that money, that extra money that they're paying, they don't know what they get. I had a guy call this week and he said, I want to try to eliminate a couple of tiers of my pricing so I can move up a couple of tiers. And I said, okay, well, which part are you willing to take on? Are you willing to take on the logistics? Are you willing to take on the job site packaging? Are you willing to put on a lumber department that's responsible for the tracking and purchasing of all your lumber, keeping up with the lumber market? Or because that's what you're paying for. If you're not doing that, you're paying wholesalers or contractor yards or LBM yards. Those guys perform a lot of they do a lot for you for the money that you're paying for it. It seems like a lot of money, but if you want to start cutting those guys out, think of everyone you cut out, you got to do their job.
Yeah.
So you can look at the exchange, for example, and say, well, look at this. Those 2x4 9s are $300 1,000 cheaper than I can buy them for. Say, well, fine. Well, buy a carload, and where are you going to ship it, and what are you going to do with it when you get it?
Right. Yeah, no doubt about that. No doubt about that. So let's look at this. Let's go over to the southern yellow pine chart, because here's something interesting. The spruce came down on the CME, but that southern pine 4 inches taken off. So that whole basis is blown out on the 2x4 number 2 southern yellow pine.
Yeah, that's trusses. That's nothing but trusses.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We had a guy call yesterday wanting to put forward a whole bunch of number 2 plate for trusses, because he's having a hard time getting his truss person to commit to it. Right.
I've heard truss orders out to October, November, December next year. Yep. 12 months out on trusses, and builders are going to be in a pickle, because they may be able to get the framing package done, they may be able to get the foundations in, they may be able to even get everything else. But if you can't get the trusses, you can't go anywhere. Even if you can get them committed, but you've got to wait 3 to 7 to 9 months to get them, you just can't keep on framing. You got to stop, and I think that's going to be the thing that's going to choke the market down at some point. And my expectation is we got the first quarter is going to be a push to get through pretty hard without some kind of curtailment in framing supply. I mean, framing starts, because of trusses, you can't keep going. There's no relief on EWPs. There's not, metal's not a solution yet. So we're just in a pinch.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, let's look at the southern pine. So it started out, one of the things, the treaters came in and just said, give us everything you got. That's where it started, right? I think. And then all of a sudden, then the contractor yards came in, and we had people looking for multiple volumes of southern pine 4-inch and 6-inch yesterday. They said, we'll take whatever you got, right? So that's going to continue, blow that basis out there. Anything else you're seeing on pine besides that?
Well, and here's the thing I don't know what the people are expecting out of pine, but the treaters had to sit and wait until Lowe's and Home Depot, Menards, the guys, the big boxes, told them what they were going to do. And they waited kind of to the last minute, really just about 2 weeks ago. Said, all right, here's what our plan is. Here's what we're going to do. And then the treaters just came like an avalanche. And they were looking not just for 2x6 and wider, but they were looking for 2x4s as well. And you had the treaters looking for 2x4s, the truss manufacturers looking for 2x4s. If anything, you can see that there's been a little bit of fall off in energy in the number 3 and number 4, just because it's like maybe it's just out of proportion demand from the truss manufacturers, the treaters looking for their stuff. But it's just there's new production coming on. I heard you talking about it yesterday. It's a new mill announced in Louisiana. It's going to be coming on, but all the new production that's coming on in southern pine is just taking the place of the spruce is dropping out. And the biggest thing we're seeing right now is not worldwide, but North American-wide acceptance of southern pine as a replacement for spruce, where in the past it just was not an option because the wood was just not favorable to work with. And now it's just because it's available, people are forgetting about the little bit of wane, the crook, the bow, the twist, the warp, the big knots, the hardwood. If it's filling up a spot for a stud or a plate, it's getting bought.
It's interesting. We had some new people come to us this week that are thinking about building a mill in the South and coming in and doing that. And they actually want to, people that want to use MaterialsXchange to list everything on, because they don't want to build a whole floor on it, right? Which is kind of cool. But another thing I heard yesterday was a guy from Houston called me. He buys a lot of low grade, and I said, hey, I got a car rolling towards you of number 3 no grade stamp, which we actually ended up selling into Fort Worth. But he told me, my guys like pine better than spruce. They don't like spruce isn't as good as pine. So you hear the exact opposite side too, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of scratched my head.
Now it's got the structural properties that everybody loves.
But we sold a no grade stamp 2x4 number 3, 13, 12s, 14, 14s, and 14, 16s at $985 into Fort Worth. So that's a little market intel for everybody. So that number 3 market, which is a big market down there, is trading in the high 900s on the wholesale side, probably in the 1,000 area on the retail side. But I'm starting to see a lot more of that pop up now.
Yeah, that's a big product. That's in county municipalities where there's not the building inspectors are not the same as like in Georgia, outside Atlanta area, you can use number 3, but you got to be. I would just warn people, be careful about no grade stamp number 3, because Southern Pine guys are kind of notorious for slipping the little number 4 in there. You don't want to get something that's going to get you in trouble. Just be careful about what you get, what you ask for.
No doubt about that. Well, let's go over to OSB. One of the favorite things to talk about. You got to make this chart look a little bit more exciting for me than it looks. It kind of looks flat. How do I make this look better, Matt?
Buy more of it.
It's moved up in price, right? But it's.
Well, look at the legend on the left. It goes from 300 to. Let me get that thing off my screen there. I can't see. What's the top of the legend over there? 1,200, 1,300?
1,300 is the tip top.
That's $1,000 price range there from over through the year, but you just see that it's. And I think a lot of that's just a confirmation that so much OSB is on contract. There's just not a lot on the open market to make prices fluctuate a lot. And so when you get these seasonal times when right in the beginning of the spring, when everybody's clamoring for it, where you like week number 13 to 20, it's going to be usually a really pretty high volume, high volatility time. But the rest of the time, you're up. Look, it doesn't look like a lot, but that little blip last week from this week was $55.
Yeah, you know what? That's true. Is as far as looking at that legend in that chart, because we moved so much last year, it doesn't accentuate the actual move when you look at how stretched out that chart is.
Yeah, and you got to consider that is what the black line is the FTP, which is a composite average of the last 3 years, weighted with a 5, 3, and a 1 weighted average, plus a 5-year average and a 10-year average. So it's got a lot of average kind of things in it. So it has a smaller range of pricing rather than just the last couple of years where it's been $1,000. But most of the time OSB is a market that trades between $300 and $500. So that's kind of where that's the normal kind of range. So you don't usually. We heard Matt and Greg talking about and you guys were talking about how you would get $135 price move in a week. It used to be what we get in a year.
Yeah, it was true until 2021. Really, that was the move, $135. Now we get it, and that's why people can't wrap their head around it and get so off sides and are willing just to jump at any price. And that's why, kind of at Materials Exchange, when you can come on for free, look at what the real time offer is to you as a buyer or the bid is to you as a seller. It'll make you stop and think in a second, where you don't have to panic on a phone call to somebody that's got you on and saying, hey, this is going to be gone in 5 seconds unless you buy it. You can look at the screen and say, but Materials Exchange has it $20 cheaper than you. So the worst thing that's going to happen is that you're going to use our platform and get a better price or have more information. I think that's pretty valuable instead of kind of going and looking at the old way of doing it and just talking on the phone to 3 people and making a decision based off all, and I grew up doing that. But as I grew and got more sophisticated, I realized that there's an electronic way of doing things. And why wouldn't you use all options if you're an intuitive and educated person, right?
Yeah, it doesn't cost you anything to look. Yeah.
No, to me, when people say that we do it the old way, I'm like, okay, buddy, why did they hire you? if you're not going to look at all the options to do and stuff, right?
The old guy quit. Time for somebody new.
Yeah, but we got a lot of people of every demographic on here, age group using it. So early adopters can be 90 years old and they can be 20 years old, right?
Right.
The point is just using it. Cool. Let's go over to the framing package index and take a look at that real quick.
That's shocking.
Yeah, let's. Now we're starting to move up pretty good, Matt. What's your thought there?
Yeah, if you just look at on the graph part on the top, the difference between the black line, how much of it is above the red line. The black line is the replacement. The red line is what you're getting quoted based on a 4-week moving average. So you can look at that, and if you're a builder, what you can anticipate is over the next 2 months, your prices are going to be significantly higher for your lumber locks. Your January lumber locks that you're getting right now are going to be substantially higher. They've gone from, if you look at the very last, the composite of all the 4 regions, we've gone from $12 a square foot to almost $20 a square foot in 3 months, and that's a pretty substantial change. And we're not through either. We realize we peaked out last year at $36 a square foot, but that was with $1,700 2
I
before.
want to say we just made history today on this call. We just matched our first live transaction on the call while we were talking.
Nice.
And I want to say why this is important. One, because it's with a friend of mine, Kyle, that has been a big supporter from Sherwood. Mike put the offer out on our live stream here. Kyle saw it while we were talking. He went in and he hit the bid. If that doesn't highlight the value of communications real time, I don't know what does.
That's awesome.
So everybody on this call today has just been involved in the first live trade on a live.
And let me point something out too. Let me point something out too. Kyle's not an idiot. Kyle works for one of the largest wholesale distributors in the country, and he's as sharp a buyer as there is. And if it's good enough for him, then you guys need to be paying attention.
Dude, love Kyle, and he's been, like I said, he has been a huge supporter of us. And that's the first live match that we've had on the platform. Platform while you and I were talking. The whole purpose of this is that. So, Kyle, do you want me to throw out some more good offers for you out there?
You're on a roll. He's got his checkbook out. Y'all put something up.
Well, a buddy of mine always said this: the best time to sell something is when, Matt? After you just sold something.
Yep.
So, So anyway, let's go. What do we see on the framing composite index over here, Matt?
But just the trajectory is just getting really out of whack. And here's the interesting thing about that is there's no builder rejection to prices yet. There's no, even though we're going up, 30% here in the last 3 months. Excuse me. Builders are still asking for product. They're not rejecting prices. They're not rejecting $1,200 2x4s. And anybody that steps in front of it and thinks that the builders are going to reject it, they're not going to reject it until the buyers do.
Matt, not thinking he's an idiot.
Hold on a second. Kyle wants to thank you for not being an idiot. Go ahead, Kyle.
Plugs, guys. You never know. A blind squirrel gets a nut every now and then. Thank you for the deals.
Yeah, you bet, Kyle. You bet. Hold on a second. All right. He said a blind squirrel gets a nut every now and then, right? Also, a one-legged duck swims in a circle, and a 250-pound bag of flour makes a big biscuit, right? So
south.
Yeah. So look at this is a great indication of why what you said, why things may still be moving a little bit. Look at another load of 6-inch Hemfer premium studs in the platform just got listed up there again, Kyle. So if you're looking, there's another load of 6-inch Hemfer premium studs on the platform.
Well, here's a good message for everybody. Whatever you're thinking about the market's doing, somebody out there right this minute is paying current market price for new offerings. Whether you think the market's peaking or you think it's high priced or whatever. I mean, Kyle's found a buyer for it. He's got the need for the product and he's paying the price for it. So it's going on if you're sitting there watching it thinking that's enough, it's going on without you.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Well, listen, I don't want to keep anybody any longer. I've got a guy I got to call about this carved stud or carved number 3 that he just listed on the bid, and I'm going to go in and hit it for him, and we're just going to have another match here because somebody heard us on this call and wants to buy this number 3 car. So appreciate it, Matt. Have a great freaking holiday, man.
Yeah, you too, buddy.
And
it's been a great year.
I'll look forward to talking to you hopefully before the end of the year.
Sounds good. Thank y'all for coming today.
All right, bye.
See ya.